Hey gorgeous women, how are you? I'm here with my divine man hubby and business partner, and someone just asked us for a little mini interview with Chris about what is it like supporting a strong, visionary, determined woman like me, and how does he find it? Hey Emily.
Was the question that do I find it hard?
Yeah.
Which I kind of felt, for a lack of a better term, a little bit odd. Why should it be hard to support a woman who is in her power and
as your hand is in my back pocket?
Well, it's just keeping us together. It's sort of like a chain. Why should that be hard? I mean, it's having a driven, focused woman makes my life easier in a way, because what does it do? It's changed our lives. We're fortunate enough that we have personality types that complement each other.
Yeah.
And
we're very different as well.
Yeah.
We've never tried to make each other like each other, except when I've gotten frustrated. That I find, hey gorgeous, I find everyone a bit slow. But I had a beautiful leadership coach say to me this week, because I'm looking at hiring a project manager, so she's doing basically all the human resources for us, so she's been doing a lot of disc profiles, and she was saying you're going to always be frustrated with that, so it's something where I probably need to change my response. But in terms of, you've never been intimidated by my vision or anything, have you?
No, not at all.
Yeah, so how do you relate to how my vision and the way that I am and how focused I am?
How do I relate to it? I guess I've never even really thought about it.
That's how we connected.
We are.
Yeah.
It's what I was attracted to. I guess in a lot of ways opposites attract, and that's true for us in that I was instantly attracted to Ingrid and her fiery, awesome manner.
Yeah, I suppose we would never have been together had I made a choice. I just would not be with a man that would be intimidated or suppressive, or where I'd have to hide Dina, have to ask for permission around what I want to do in my life. It's my life. Sure, we're having a partnership, we're married, but he doesn't direct. There's things in terms of being a loving, caring person where you get people's feedback, or you might sort of ask for some level of kind of permission where you both have to discuss things. But when it comes to money and financial abundance, and when it comes to the company that originally was just my company, I'm not going to ask for permission on what I'm here to create, what I'm here to do. And now that we work together, sometimes we'll be doing a lot of forward planning together, but still at the end of the day, the thing that's really helped me as well is don't expect your man to lead you. So sort of the way that we identify the masculine is to have the male lead, and that's nice and that's great, and it might be good for your intimate relationship, it might be good for certain aspects, but I'm the CEO of our company, and it was originally my company. He's not the CEO. So and you're the CEO of your life, whether you have a company or not, whether you work with your husband or not. I see so many women kind of waiting and negotiating with their partners on what they're allowed to do, and the minute you've got that energy going on, I just wouldn't stand for that. I had a very lovely father who gave me lots of good attributes, but he also was so controlling that I absolutely made this energetic, hey Prue, divine command. Oh my God, that I just would never. I'd rather be single and alone than be with a domineering, overbearing, insecure male who can't hold space for the divine feminine. And I think yesterday I was explaining my idea of the feminine and the masculine coming together. And I have a lot of masculine. Where we've ever been unbalanced is when I've been doing too much in the business. So pushing too much, pushing the team, and there's a lot in my head, right? Everything from finances to future growth, content creation. Hey, Katrina, supporting our clients, supporting the team, training the team, hiring the team, making sure if we have in-house ad managers, out-house ad managers, sales teams. Oh my God, it's enormous. So with that, with any level of life, there is levels of all of us where we have that unconscious incompetence where, I didn't know what it was going to take to go from, say, a $2 to $3 million business. So recently, we sat down and I'm like, my head is so full, that's where I go, oh my God, it's just so full. I don't want that. So I recently hired a new sales manager. I recently, have a new community manager. We are now working on, we've just put an ad up and I have a full HR person doing all the tests. We don't even have, so I suppose it's also about being kinder to ourselves and also me not expecting Chris to also do too much in the business where he just really doesn't have the time. It's unfair, and I can be a little bit, hard in that way because I feel like a bit burdened by so much. There's so much to do when you're going through massive growth. And we've both been caretakers to my dad. So going, well, we don't really have much more room. If I interview my team, which I do, I'm like, they're already full. So when they're full to capacity, putting something on someone else to do is just, it's not fair because they literally don't have any more capacity. So we're hiring more people. That's a bigger financial outlay. But what I've always known to be true, when we hired our first VA, we're sort of going off on another thing, but the thing about relationship is that putting too much expectation, and I was speaking to another leadership coach, and where a lot of marriages struggle too, is having this unrealistic expectation. And I think a lot of women, you're expecting your partner to lead you. And really, at the end of the day, I believe this very misunderstood aspect of the feminine. 3,000 years ago, we were the leaders. I think, women innately, I'm not saying that we're better or anything, but our brains work differently. We are wired for survival, to take care of children, to feed and nourish and keep our children and our families functioning and alive, to be a multifaceted and be able to do a lot of different things at once. And I'm not saying men can't be that way, but I feel that we're just naturally really good at that. And yet so many women have been diminished to be told that the masculine, we live in a patriarchal culture that still really puts the male on the pedestal. So of course we have all these false expectations of what we think our man should be doing. And bless Chris, but I'm more of a natural entrepreneur, would you say?
Oh yeah, a lot of my experience has been very, I guess, science and IT based. So, I've done an engineering degree, spent a lot of time in corporate companies. So that gives me the benefit of having the ability when we've come over to the marketing side of things to take on a lot of the technical side and understand that. But in terms of that entrepreneurial way of thinking, it's not something that is ingrained in high school or university at all.
Yeah.
They're teaching you to basically get a job, which will give you an income and hopefully a higher income than you would have had if you just had graduated high school. So at the end of the day, if you do have an entrepreneurial spirit and you're one of the few amazing people who can really make a difference in the world. And this is one of the wonderful things that we get to do with our company is support these entrepreneurial people to make the changes in their business to actually make it work. so that they can change people's lives and make a real difference, not only to their bank balance, but to the lives of the people that they're serving.
Yeah. And I also want to say one thing about the entrepreneur, like, even if you don't classify yourself as entrepreneurial, number one, you can learn that. But I think for so many women, it's desire to contribute, the desire to give back, the desire for freedom, the desire to not confine ourselves into ideologies and systems that don't work for women, and especially don't work for women who really have this sole purpose to contribute, before they leave this earth, to absolutely get up every day, get out into the world every day. Let's go up here for a sec. To do something that they feel passionate about. And I think for me, it wasn't always about being an entrepreneur. Like, I just knew that I wanted. Do you want to sit here for a sec?
Yeah, good idea.
Oh, it's nice and shady. It's getting hot here, guys. I just knew that I wanted to. I remember working in corporate myself, and I was trying to please my dad. And I got a job, would you believe? This is kind of hard to believe, I think. But at this organisation, it was part private, part government, and I was a business development manager. Working, would you believe? It's like, I don't know even how I got this job. Trying to please my dad in biotech, and I literally hated it. I remember every day literally wanting to be ill. I would have panic attacks almost every morning. I'd sit at this coffee shop, like trying to will myself and talk to myself and mentor myself into that job, and it was actually quite an abusive situation because that boss was just a complete ogre, and like who would yell and scream, and it was just a total nightmare. And actually, in some ways, it was probably such a pivotal moment in my life, because had it maybe been more comfortable for me, maybe I would have tried to make it work. But I didn't believe that I could really at that time. This is probably more like 10 to 12, 15 years ago now. 15 years ago, I don't think at the time, like I had, my dad just wanted me to have this safe job, and he didn't, even though my parents were entrepreneurs, I think that did also instill in me, they had a cosmetic manufacturing company under our house when I was a kid, and so my grandparents used to come and, pack boxes of wax for depilatory hair removal, and that did instill in me a very hard work ethic, but there was still a lot of fear-based consciousness when it came to me doing it on my own and not going to work for my parents. Lots of put-downs, lots of shame, and I was made to feel really stupid, like I couldn't do it. Like, I just choose to my dad would almost shake in fear when talking to me, like, just go to work for government, just go into politics, and you'll always, and he was doing it from a place of fear and love. But, I did have a lot of fear then to break through myself. And I was just like, in the end, after that horrific experience, I was like, I have got to figure this out, because this is not how I want to live. And I made that change. But I think looking back at my parents, though, I will say that I'm really grateful. I made a comment yesterday, you're allowed to be ambitious. You're allowed to have vision. You're allowed to want to make a lot of money unapologetically doing what you love. You're allowed to have all of that. Just don't be a princess about it. That means kind of expecting it to always be easy. We have worked really hard. And I also want to say, you don't have to push so hard. You can make money really quite quickly. I remember my parents saying to me, it's going to take you years. You might take you 10 years. Just be happy, Ingrid. Just be happy, Ingrid, with an extra $50 a week. That's what we were just happy with. We were just happy we could buy a washing machine, that month. So they were the real slow and steady type of business builders. But things have changed. The online space is just massive. The online education industry, $325 billion by 2025. The online education space. So I call it the education era. This is the era of taking your knowledge and being able to literally pretty much overnight you can start to create your intellectual property, your process, your system, in order to then go out and help another human being. And then you can go into a scaling a scaling level with it all, whereby at first, when you're teaching in this way, you can start one-on-one. That means you're immediately starting to sell one-on-one. So you can literally create a package over the next 48 hours or so. Maybe it might take you a week or two, depending on how, but the thing is, like, so many people want to get it perfect. And then if you keep trying to get it perfect at the beginning, like, you're going to perfect it as you go, as you're being paid to teach, right? So as you're teaching and supporting a client in a one-on-one level, you will keep perfecting it, and you'll start to get the absolute gold. You'll start to look at how you can maybe improve things, how you can speed up the process, what you need to include so that person gets that absolute transformation. And then the second phase is to take it into a group, potentially high-end offer. And then later on, you might want to have a downsell, and you can digitize it, right? And you have just the digital offer. But really, at the end of the day, you can make money very quickly in this space as long as you have the key components. Very key component. I was saying to a divine student of mine who does really well. He just sort of goes into stop and start. But she sold 8K this week, 2 $4,000 packages. And, now she's in the prime position to start to really ramp that up. But this can be done. It happens for us all. Like, we can't keep up with our testimonials. And this is women that are petrified. They're so scared, and it's normal to be scared because you're learning something new. You don't know what to expect. You're going to have to put yourself out there. I was saying, so the point there was that I said to her, and she goes like, I want to sell more. And I'm like, well, the more visible you are, the more you will sell. The more visible you are, the more you will sell. You cannot expect to be in a position of hiding and kind of holding back and in constriction, and then have this free-flowing kind of connection with an audience. You need to be seen. And women are petrified often because we're so worried about what other people might think of us. Are we good enough? These are all, by the way, normal feelings. It's just what you decide to do with them. Am I going to say F this and allow this to then propel you forward? Or do you stay stuck, caught up in that kind of quagmire, that sort of murky, heavy energy of perpetuating that? And I did it for years on and off until I made a very conscious decision, and I met this divine guy, and I was like, he's very clever, very smart. I'm going to leverage myself with this, but I'm not going to expect him to run the show or lead the show. And I just had to trust myself enough and go for it. And I was petrified at the beginning. I remember then I was really good at doing one-on-one work. I'd go for gold. I'd be like channeling and doing my prayers and my mantras and healing and strategy. And I'd be like fully on fire, right? But then when it came to my next level, which was when about 3.5 years ago, I launched my first mastermind. It was called CEO Diva Business School. And that was my first ever group format. And I was like, holy moly, like, I don't want to be, like, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to teach in a group. I don't want to teach in a group. I felt ill by that, but I knew it was the next level. And so I pushed through that and did it. And I think it's like developing a muscle, isn't it? In anything in our lives where something that has scared us, or we felt that we might not be good at it, it's normal to have that emotion come up. But then a lot of people tend to pull back and they don't go forward. And I think what I've allowed myself to do is I'm very good at, despite a challenge, despite a fear, I've trained myself to like push myself in a way, or inspire myself, or I just throw myself out there. And I'm always held. I always say I never work alone. I always work with the divine. I'm always held. But most importantly, I'm held by myself. I'm not going to abandon myself. So I think I just want to wrap by saying, how are you abandoning yourself? And if you are, and what is your next big move? If you didn't have that level of abandonment anymore and you forgave yourself, what's your next big move? Because the polarity, everything that you already want is in existence. But if you want to be a vibrational match to it, you cannot stay the same. You've got to move towards it, and then it will come towards you. It's the law of reciprocity. It's the law of attraction. It's like you've got to embody, hey Jess, a new level. If you have not, honestly, if you have not talked to one of my divas on my team, just do it. My work is not all about making money. My divine, incredible students that I'm so honored to hold space for change at such a profound level. They don't look the same. They don't talk the same. Their relationships are different. It's a full friggin' metaphysical, shamanic initiation, thank you Prue, into divine, aligned, I was going to say femme, but it's more than femme. Whether you're male or female or this or that, it's about remembrance. It's about claiming yourself. It's great that our students make more money, and it means that they're helping more people. I think the most important thing that you need to understand when you're working out how to make more money, this is really, I want you to really get this, because I do speak fast and I say a lot of stuff. It's like going off. When you are working out how to make more money, you're working out how to be of more service, right? If your product, isn't really of that level of, and you can absolutely, so many women go, oh, I don't know if I have the expertise. I don't know if I'm smart enough. You are. Hey, Dad, you are. You are smart enough. You're good enough. You're pretty enough. You've got enough. All that other stuff is noise, just noise. Put it to the side. But you are working out how to serve, how to contribute. So when you have a product that is so juicy that is aligned to your soul purpose, not a product that you just think will sell, a product, do you agree?
Yeah.
That is so aligned to why you are here. Like so many women get excited and turned on by my message, and it then becomes their message. So many women begin to understand what I'm saying about why I talk about money and why it's so important for women to have their own money, right? Have your own money. It is the only way that you can ensure really deep. I mean, you can say you're always safe, but if you can't leave an abusive marriage, if you don't have your own money, if you don't learn how to make money, you're putting yourself and your family in a very precarious position. It's not a powerful position. This world, unfortunately, also works on money. So, you're really working out how to serve. You want to package up a product that is yummy, juicy, aligned to you, and you will find your audience, not by hiding, by becoming more visible, by owning your voice. You're allowed to be heard. You're allowed to be seen. Right? Can I get an amen on that? You're allowed to be seen. You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to have clear dialogue and words coming out of your mouth. Yes. Adette says, my service is an extension of me, so how I feel about me is paramount to how my service sells. Absolutely. But when your service is really connected to when your service is connected to service, with what you sell, yes, amen, is connected to really ensuring that you serve and help someone else, and it delivers on its promise. And at the end of the day, for any product to deliver on its promise, like say you deliver on everything that you say that you're going to do, right? You show up in your fullness, you show up in presence, you do the work. Every client, every student that you ever have has to absolutely participate. And Jess, for you, walking your talk is great, and it's great that you're 100%. But I know from tuning into your vibration, I can tell that there is certain things that you're not doing that could catapult your financial income and your personal power and your ability to be heard and sit in the market and serve more people to a whole other level. I know it for sure. And I know that for sure as well, not because just if I can read energy or whatever, I can observe it. I know that if people are at a certain level, there's so much more, just like I have so much more to do with my work and my message. So we're always, the biggest advice that I could also give, anyway, it's how I live my life and you can take it or leave it, but is that I am in always absolute expansion, and you need to hear and see, like, don't just sort of subtly listen. Like, if you want to have a 200K business a year, a 500K, a million, a 2 million, whatever it is, 10 million, you've got to get the pieces in play. So get on that call. Absolutely. Reach out to me on Messenger. I don't care. Reach out. I'll answer any question. CEOdivachat.com. Get on the call, because making an extra 10 grand a month is pretty easy. Making an extra 20 grand, pretty easy. I've got girls who were pretty much struggling doing 30 grand a month. I've got one of them flying in to work with me this week. It's not so hard. What's hard is the murkiness that comes up with people doubting themselves so much. And they're actually not doing the work to set up the structure. They're just in that kind of hesitation and trying to do it all on your own and figure it all out. And that actually, spending some money, if you decide to, if you get on one of those calls, by the way, you don't have to invest or anything, but at all. But if you do, in any of our products, it's like a small investment in comparison to what you're going to get from it. You should do it. Like, as long as it resonates with you, why wouldn't you do it? Like, leverage yourself, educate yourself. You can't expect to have a very successful, I don't believe, financial generating sort of cash machine unless you learn how to structure it properly. You're just going to drive yourself into the ground. Okay, divas, have a beautiful, beautiful divine weekend. Do you have anything to say?
All good. I think you covered it.
Mwah. Blessings.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you, and thank you for being my partner.
Oh, thank you.